This is an FCE reading part 5 exam practice example. So part 5 looks like this. You have one long text and 6 questions after, with 4 multiple choice options to choose from, A, B, C or D. So let's get into it. The first thing you want to do is read the instructions at the top. It says you are going to read an article about a professional cycling team. For questions 31 to 36, choose the answer A, B, C or D, which you think fits best according to the text. And then you're going to mark your answers on the separate answer sheet in the exam. So now you know what you need to do. You're going to want to read the title, Preparing for the Big One. Jeremy Wilson joins Team Sky's cycle training camp in Tenerife as they prepare for the Tour de France. So you want to get an idea of what you're reading about. So this is going to be about a cycle team preparing for the Tour de France. So you know it's going to involve certain people, their struggles and hardships, how they're going to do this cycling event basically in France, which is probably not their home country. So it would be a little bit about that. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is, it depends on how you learn. You can either read the text first or you can read the questions first. It's completely up to you how you learn. But once you've done one, then you're going to want to do the other one. So I think we're going to start by reading the text first. So if we have a look here, let's have a look at the first paragraph. Day 10 of Team Sky's 2-week training camp in mountainous Tenerife has just been completed, and I joined the exhausted riders in the dining room of their hotel. The diet is strictly protein, fruit and vegetables for the riders, with carbohydrates eaten only when absolutely necessary. Chris Froome, a previous Tour winner, is 1.86 metres, but weighs only 68 kilos. Team etiquette has it that staff do not eat forbidden foods in front of the riders. An exemption to the diet was made when day 8 of the camp coincided with Geraint Thomas and Ian Stannard's birthday. Both were presented with a mini chocolate bar. The next morning, there's a brief talk from Tim Kerrison, head of athlete performance. The riders listen intently. Kerrison, formerly an Australian rowing coach, was a sports scientist for the swimming team before being headhunted by Dave Brailsford, Sky's team principal. Hiring someone he regarded as the best in the world, regardless of his cycling inexperience, was a typical Brailsford decision. So was the remit in Kerrison's first year, 2010. He simply followed in a camper van and watched, listened and learnt. He then sat down and rattled off a load of things we probably didn't pick up on or took for granted, Brailsford later tells me. An example was the introduction of fast interval sessions during the winter months, when cyclists had traditionally built up a slow endurance base of high mileage. Brailsford speaks to Kerrison every day, but with 28 Team Sky riders following their own training programs around the world, he keeps his schedules flexible and has felt no need to be in Tenerife. If the boss turns up, it can add that bit of pressure, Brailsford said. Mind you, that may not always be a bad thing. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to get the job done, recover and relax. I am deep in conversation with Kerrison in his support car when there is a sudden bang in front of us. Luke Rowe has had a puncture on the descent. Within 20 seconds, team mechanic Gary Blem has jumped out of the car and changed the wheel for Rowe to catch up with his teammates. The riders have been touching speeds of 80 kilometres per hour, fast enough to occasionally lose Kerrison's car, but not to inhibit Stannard from suddenly sitting bolt upright, taking both hands off the bars and putting on some arm and leg warmers. An acceptance of danger, the Dutch rider Wout Poels later tells me in a prerequisite, when you are going 80 kilometres per hour downhill, if you think too much, it's over, Poels says. Over a lunch break, there's another decision about how the riders will approach the remaining 20-kilometre mountain stretch. This is when they practice the team tactics they're going to utilise in the Tour de France. Some of the lesser stars in the group act as support riders to the 2 best climbers, sheltering them from the wind to ensure they have the best possible chance of getting first to the finish line. The sacrifices made by the team will put the two top riders in a privileged but also pressurised position over the 23 days of the tour. Rider Chris Froome says, "These guys have literally spent months away from their families. It is a burden but also a motivation." Back at the hotel, I met Fran Miller, the head of winning behaviours. Her remit was to codify what had made the team win races and then implement a culture of continuous improvement. "We got everyone together and put it out to the team," explains Miller. "What do you think it is that makes us who we are? What sets us apart?" A framework was created for how staff and riders expect each other to act, with 5 key areas. Identifying and eradicating losing behaviours is probably more important, says Miller. If you have one person exhibiting an awful lot of losing behaviours, they can have a huge impact on the rest of that group. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the questions. So 31, it says, what are we told about food eaten by the team? Number 32, we learn that Brailsford brought kerosene onto the team because. 33, Brailsford believes that as a boss he should. 34, the riders travel so fast on one descent that. 35, what is the writer's main purpose in the 5th paragraph? And 36, as part of trying to find a formula for continued success, Fran Miller. So now we've read the questions and the text. It might be a good idea to go back through the text and try to link where the questions match the paragraphs. Now they will be in chronological order, and sometimes it tells you where to look. So for example, in question 35, it says the 5th paragraph, so you know that that one is in the 5th paragraph. Usually, if there's going to be 6 paragraphs, each question will be in a separate paragraph. So that's another little tip there. So as you can see, question 31, it says, what are we told about food eaten by the team? So you want to look for where it starts talking about food, which is in the 1st paragraph. I've underlined fruits and vegetables, so you know whereabouts you need to look. I would just do that with all of the questions. Whereabouts do you need to look to find the answer? Okay, so now let's focus on the first question and we'll look at the options. What are we told about food eaten by the team? A, riders are allowed as much unhealthy food as they wish on their birthdays. B, non-riders can only eat foods like chocolate when away from the riders. C, riders and non-riders usually have different meals and eat separately. And D, non-riders are expected to check that riders aren't breaking dietary rules. Now, I would underline the key words in the question and all of the options as well. So it's going to look something like this. So, are you looking out for, can they eat unhealthy food on their birthdays? Can non-riders eat foods away from the riders? Do the non-riders have different meals and eat separately? Or non-riders are expected that everyone's not breaking any dietary rules? So you've got the key words there. Now we can go back to the text and underline where it talks about food. So we know it's in the 1st paragraph. So this paragraph here. So you want to reread this paragraph in detail to know exactly what is happening. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to reread the paragraph and find where you need to be looking for. So where you need to be looking is here. Team etiquette has it that staff do not eat forbidden foods in front of the riders. So the answer is B. Non-riders can only eat foods like chocolate when away from the riders. So it's impolite if they're eating foods in front of the riders because they're not allowed to eat certain foods. So it has to be B. So I've underlined the other points where they've mentioned other parts of the answers, but it can't be the answer. The diet is strictly protein, fruit and vegetables for the riders. So the riders are eating healthy food, aren't they? They're not eating unhealthy food. So it can't be A. An exemption was made when, on day 8 of the camp, coincided with Geraint Thomas and Ian Stannard's birthdays. So they were allowed a chocolate bar on their birthdays. Doesn't mention about them eating different meals and separately and about breaking rules. The only time the rule was broken was when it was their birthday. So the answer is B. Okay, number 32. We learn that Brailsford brought Kerrison onto the team because Brailsford knew that Kerrison was an excellent motivator. No famous cycling coach could offer the same eye for detail. Kerrison was already known and respected by the top cyclists, or Brailsford wanted a fresh perspective on training methods. Again, you want to go over and you want to underline the key words. So why did Brailsford bring Kerrison onto the team? What was the reason? Was he an excellent motivator? Did no other coach have the same eye for detail? Was he already known and respected by other top cyclists? Or could he bring a fresh perspective into the training methods? So you want to go back to the text. Where does the text introduce Kerrison? So this is like a new character that's being brought into the scene. Where does that mention about Kerrison? So as you can see, it's in the second paragraph. Yeah? So you want to focus on the second paragraph here. So have a reread of the second paragraph and find what's the reason that he was brought onto the team. So as you can see here, the answer is D. Brailsford wanted a fresh perspective on training methods. So why is this? It says Kerrison, formerly an Australian rowing coach, was a sports scientist for the swimming teams before being headhunted by Dave Brailsford. Hiring someone he regarded as the best in the world, regardless of his cycling inexperience, was a typical Brailsford decision. So, his cycling inexperience, he doesn't have cycling experience, does he? So he's going to bring a fresh perspective on training methods because he's got other experience in other areas. So it has to be D. So it can't be the other options because hiring someone he regarded as the best in the world. So Brailsford thinks that he's the best in the world. So it can't be C because was he already known and respected by other top cyclists? No. He simply followed in a camper van, watched, listened and learnt. He then sat down and rattled off a load of things that we probably didn't pick up on. So does it say that he's an excellent motivator? Not really. And that another coach could offer the same eye? It doesn't mention that either. So it has to be D, this one. Okay, number 33. Brailsford believes that as a boss, he should A. Always have a clear idea of where he's going to be. B. Let others take control if his presence won't help. C. Be the one who takes pressure off other people. And D. Always appear relaxed even when he's not. So you want to underline the keywords in the answers. So what does he think? Does he need a clear idea of where he's going to be? Does he let others take control? Does he take the pressure off people? Or does he always appear relaxed? So where does it mention about Brailsford, what he thinks about being a boss? If you just look for the keywords in the text, as you can see it in the third paragraph at the bottom, if you look for the word boss, you know that that's where to look. So you want to be looking at this paragraph here. So where does it say that Brailsford thinks that he needs to do as a boss? And it's here. He has felt no need to be in Tenerife. If the boss turns up, it can add that bit of pressure. So he lets others take control. So he's not in Tenerife because he thinks that it's going to add pressure to the cyclists, which is unnecessary. So he's going to let other people take control. So it's got to be B. He keeps his schedule flexible. Does he have a clear idea of where he's going to be? No, his schedule is flexible, so that means that he's probably not doing the same thing every day. It can add that bit of pressure. So if he's there, then the cyclist will feel pressure. So, is he appearing relaxed? No, that's not what that means. And it's not C. He's not the one who takes pressure off people because he's not there, is he? He lets other people take control. So it's got to be B. Okay, so let's look at number 34. The riders travel so fast on one descent that A. It causes one of the bike's tyres to fail. B. Several of them are affected by cold air. C. One of them becomes concerned about their safety. And D. Kerrison can't keep up with them even though he's driving. Okay, so I underlined why did the riders travel so fast? One of the tyres failed. They are affected by cold air. One became concerned about safety, or Kerrison can't keep up even though he's driving. So it can't be in the left side of the text because the other questions were there. So we need to focus on the right side of the text now. So maybe it's going to be in the next paragraph. So here you go. You want to read this paragraph again in detail. Have a look for where it says about what happened when the riders travelled fast on one descent. And it's here. The riders have been touching speeds of 80 kilometers per hour, fast enough to occasionally lose Kerrison's car. So they're going so fast that they're losing the car. So Kerrison, he can't keep up. He cannot stay at the same speed as them, even though he is driving. He's in the car. So the answer is D. So it can't be the other options because Kerrison, he's in his support car, and Luke Rowe has a puncture on the descent. So that is the car having a puncture, not one of the bikes. So it can't be A. Stannard is putting on some arm and leg warmers. So he is affected by the cold air. It's not several of them, it's just one of the riders. So it can't be B. And an acceptance of danger, they accept that it's dangerous, yeah? So it can't be C. One of them is concerned about their safety. They're not really concerned, are they? They accept that it's going to be dangerous. So it can't be C. 35. What is the writer's main purpose in the fifth paragraph? A. To justify the actions of the top riders. B. To praise the attitude of the team's main rider. C. To question the role played by the other riders. Or D. To comment on the selflessness required in team cycling. So, what is the main purpose of the fifth paragraph? It tells you where to look. So, is it to justify the actions, praise the attitude, or question the role, or selflessness required in team cycling? So, you want to go straight to the fifth paragraph because it tells you. So, have a reread of the fifth paragraph. You're summarising what the purpose is. So, you need to read the whole thing in detail. And the answer is here. Some of the lesser stars in the group act as support riders to two best climbers, sheltering them from the wind to ensure they have the best possible chance of getting first to the finish line. So, it's commenting on the selflessness required in team cycling. It's a team sport and they all have to help each other. So, the lesser stars, the weaker ones, the ones at the back, they act as support riders to the two best climbers, the two riders at the front. They shelter them from the wind to ensure that they have the best chance of getting to the finish line. So you can just imagine everybody helping each other. So it's a team effort. So the answer is D. So it can't be the other options because this is when they practice the team tactics. And the sacrifices made by the teammates will put the two top riders in a privileged but also pressurized position. So, is it justifying the actions of the top rider? Well, it's justifying the actions of the other two riders, the climbers, the ones that are helping them. B, praising the attitude. It's praising the attitude of all of the riders, the sacrifices that all of the team makes. And question the role. It's not questioning the role. Everybody has a role, even the lesser teammates. They're helping the stronger riders, so it's not questioning their role. It's justifying them. So the answer is D. 36. As part of trying to find a formula for continued success, Fran Miller A. tried to arrive at a set of unique values. B. looked at what had gone wrong for rival teams. C. invited team members to make any criticisms they wanted. Or D. wanted the riders to focus on self-belief. So, what is the formula for continued success according to Fran Miller? What do they need to do? Arrive at a set of unique values, look at what's gone wrong for rival teams, criticize, to make criticisms, or focus on self-belief. Okay, you want to look at the end of the text here. So it's the last section we need to look at. So, what is Fran Miller trying to do? And the answer is here. So, a framework was created for how staff and riders expect each other to act. So, she tried to arrive at a set of unique values. Unique values would be, one would be expecting other team members how to act because that's what they believe in. So, we can't be the other options because we got everyone together and put it out to the team. So they explained to the team what they wanted improving. They didn't invite team members to make criticisms because they were the ones talking. Identifying and eradicating losing behaviours in their own teams, not in rival teams. So it can't be B. So the answer has to be A. So there you go. You've got all the answers there and you know exactly where to look. So I hope this has helped, and if you follow, I'm going to